Good afternoon once again to everyone. My name is Thanmai, and I'm the co-founder of SafetyConnect. And I would like to thank everybody for joining this webinar on road safety driving towards a better tomorrow. Before I jump right into the webinar and then talk about the webinar that we're going to have ahead of us, I'm going to take a minute and talk about what we do at SafetyConnect. So I'm the co-founder of SafetyConnect, and at SafetyConnect, we help health and safety heads of large enterprises have a peaceful night of sleep through our best-in-class AI-based road safety application, which helps companies monitor the driving safety of their employees and ultimately help reduce the number of road accidents. And we're working with a lot of companies, and we've helped them reduce the number of road accidents by up to 70% within a year of using our application. So we as an organization are very, very passionate about road safety. And through this webinar today, on the occasion of the Road Safety Month, we want to talk more about road safety. And then we have some very prominent speakers in our midst today. And the whole idea behind today's session is we want people to be able to take away a couple of things that they could actually incorporate in their organization and help them get towards zero harm. Because we've noticed that there are so many of these gems within organizations who are experts when it comes to road safety and other aspects of safety. And there are also so many other organizations where they're starting off their journey on the whole safety culture towards road safety and so on. So we could learn from the great stuff that has been done and implemented by these people who are in our panelists today. So without further ado, I'm going to start off this webinar and a little bit about the format in which this webinar is going to happen. I'm going to be introducing these speakers, and then they're going to get about 5 to 7 minutes to talk about their particular topic. And after that, we're going to have 2 to 3 minutes of question answers by the other speakers to that speaker. After all the 4 speakers are done talking, then we will open it up to questions from the audience. Now, so I'm going to open it up to our first speaker. Our first speaker is Shwetha Rao. Shwetha Rao has over 20 years of industrial experience, and she's instrumental in establishing and the management of AkzonNobel's India, HSE, and sustainability function. She's a lead corporate auditor with expertise in sustainability reporting. She's actively involved in driving and implementing various sustainability programs. Shwetha has a postgraduate degree in environmental law from National Law School and a diploma in industrial safety from Chidambaram University. So over to you, Shwetha. Stage is yours.
Thank you, Thanmai, for this such a long introduction. I think my voice is echoing. Probably you might have to mute. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're on.
Okay, great. Thank you for this long introduction, and I was really excited to address this gathering. And sincere thanks to SafetyConnect for organizing and inviting me to speak on such an important topic that's on road safety, driving towards a better tomorrow webinar. And I'm happy to be one of the speakers amongst many industrial experts who are present here, who will be presenting on this topic. So let me begin the session by talking about the road safety and especially the prominence that we have here in India. I'm talking a little about the statistics. I don't want to go too deep into it, but sorry, I think somebody has messaged that they cannot hear. Is it only one person or everybody on the call? Could you just check, Thanmai?
Yeah.
So I'll just pause for few seconds. Can hear, okay. Some of them have actually messaged that they can hear. So can I proceed, or do you want to address Thanmai? I can proceed.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
All right. Thank you. So it's loud and clear, and most of you have acknowledged, so I will go ahead with it. And so I was talking about the road safety that has caught uh, everybody's attention, and it's a very important topic because of the alarming accidents that we have here in India. And also, actually, the Ministry of Road Transport and Highway data shows that there has been about 1.5 lakh death that happened in 2018, and which is the highest in the world. And it is very heart wrenching to hear this statistics. So, not talking too much about the data which is already published widely, we must, I think, shift our focus on how we can prevent the road safety incidents. Before that, I would like to very quickly touch upon what are the main causes of the incidents that most of us are already familiar with, and I have categorized them into three categories that are the conditions, vehicles, and the behavior. So when we talk about the condition, it definitely the infrastructure, the plays an important role. So in case if there are potholes, bad roads, no roads, and windy and glaring sunlight, all these things could be a cause of the incidents. And the vehicle itself, the owner of the vehicle, and the safety features that are there in the vehicles, the maintenance of the vehicle and its conditions, and also probably the absence of the safety features in the vehicle, the two-wheeler or even the car, like the ABS, the bags, the airbags, and the seat belts, which plays a very important role. Remember, they are all the second line of defense, but the primary is always the behavioral aspect. And the most important topic is on the behavior, where several incidents happen because of the reckless driving, overspeeding, drink and drive, which has been, the statistics shows that these are some of the main causes of the incidents, and not following the rules. Distraction is one of the most common cause of the road accident, and especially in the last one decade, this has become one of the top causes in the top of the list. So no points for guessing. It's definitely the mobile phones. As we are improvising on the technology, technology is also having a flip side, that is overusage of mobile, and especially at the wrong time, that is while driving or riding the mobile phones. So I'd like to actually touch upon a little more about the behavior, which is one of the main causes. And if we pay attention to the behavior-based safety, then the other two factors, the contributing factors, such as the vehicles and also the condition, can be addressed, because ultimately behavior is in our hands. In case if it's a bad road, maybe the adjusting the speed or choosing a better roads are in our hands. And night driving or maintaining the vehicle in right order, all these things are in our hand. So before I speak about the behavior based safety, let me just share that behavior is a very neutral word, and it's not something which is negative. So behavior is just an observable act. And what controls our behavior, in the behavior based safety concept, we talk about the consequence controls the behavior. And once again, when we talk about the consequence, it's not always the negative consequence, and even the positive consequence can control our behaviors. So let's take an example of the overspeeding itself. And why do people drive fast? So they drive fast because they are in a hurry, and the consequence of driving fast, the positive side is reaching the destination on time. And also for some people, it's quite thrilling to drive really fast, the adrenaline rush that they have. So it's a feel good factor that they have. And these are some of the positive examples. But what is the flip side of overspeeding? Definitely, it can cause serious injury and even fatality. So, what do people think about it before they start their journey? That they want to reach, to their destination early because of X, Y, and Z reasons. Okay, so that's where the factor that is contributing them is the consequence, but they seldom think about the negative consequence and adjust their behavior. But if we all think that, okay, it could lead to serious accident and there could be fine, and somebody who is very gives importance to safety and self care would certainly change their behavior to ensuring that they follow the rules, rules and not drive safely, and not drive very fast. So let's take another example that's a favorite topic, that's about the mobile phones. So when we talk about the mobile phones now, because of the technology, we have, Bluetooths installed in the car, and we have the hands free where people use it extensively while they're probably riding. And why do they do this is definitely because they could, utilize their time while they are driving, but it is unsafe, and there is a factor of distraction which people seldom think about it, and these are some of the causes that are leading to an accident. So what are the barriers that are preventing the people from doing it safely or riding safely? So these barriers, that so-called barriers that we talk about, are the mental barriers, and it could also be systems that are there in place, like the rules, regulations, the policy, the trainings, and also definitely it is culturally driven. So some of the countries give a lot of importance to driving safety, and the well regulated, and also the licensing is very, very tough. It's not so easy to get a license unless you qualify certain criteria. And also cost could be some of the factors. People think that, okay, why should I invest in a expensive car, whereas that expensive car may have airbags, ABS, and all that. So these are some of the barriers that are preventing people from doing it safely. So what can we do to ensure that we reduce the risk of accidents? One is the conscious driving and riding, which can be quite beneficial. And some great examples that we can take is definitely what some examples, many of them we have implemented, like conducting the road safety events and awareness like this. So each one of us, we have a take home. I'm looking forward to hear from the other speakers as well. And as we hear, we just don't keep it to ourselves, and also positively influence our family members and friends, because we all care for them. And once these kind of an awareness positively influence, there are other factors that the other things that we can do is taking an inventory of people who drive and ride, and organize for defensive driving training programs. There are some professional organizations who conduct defensive driving training programs, extensive trainings. So we have not just included done this for people who drive on company business purpose, but it has been extended even to those who use it for personal purpose. And having a driving policy is also very important, like having a policy that shows care to its employees, like the driving distance limitation, and encouraging people to use car in case of the two-wheelers, and many other provisions that should be that could be part of the policies. And definitely now that the technology is improving significantly, we have like SafetyConnect, who is providing solutions for safety. And I think it's a great one where behavioral monitoring is done. And there are also other safety features that could be installed, like the cameras and the proximity sensors, etc. All these things are a mental shift that we all can bring in to make an improvement in the accident statistics, and every life that is saved is very, very precious. I'm sure that we are all here for a purpose, and we don't want to lose our lives in on the road. And I just like to, before I could conclude, I like to share a very personal discussion that I had with my husband. So when we bought a new vehicle, he told me that you're not going to touch the vehicle without reading the manual. And I happily read the manual because being a safety professional, I really wanted to do that. And when I read that, there was one sentence which caught my attention, and I like to share that with the audience here. So it says that none of the safety features that are present in the vehicle is a replacement for common sense and safe driving. So I think this is such a powerful statement that is printed in the manual that I couldn't stop myself from sharing with the audience. So that's from my side. Thank you for listening, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you so much, Shweta. That was very insightful. So I see we are in a place and in an era where everybody's looking for instant gratification. So if a company and new to safety is embarking on this journey, so realistically, how much time should they be allocating for bringing about a change in any behavior?
I'm sorry, Tanmay. Actually, your video froze and I couldn't hear the question completely. Can you repeat?
Sorry, my question is that see, we're in an era of instant gratification where we want results very, very soon. But something like behavior change takes time. So if a company new to safety and new to establishing a driving safety culture is wants to embark on this journey of behavior change, so what is the kind of timeline they should realistically look at keeping aside for this particular activity?
Well, I think that when we talk about the timeline, it's quite, there is no set timeline as such. The best time to do it is now, right now. But we need to be very realistic. We need to take an inventory of where the company stands. If there are organizations who are in the initial stage of implementing safety, there are organizations who are already pioneers in safety. So it depends upon where they stand, and overnight you cannot bring a behavioral change. So it's really important that they get the right policies in place and also set certain ground rules, create awareness and implement each year on year. They can actually improve on where they want to reach. So I do not really think that there is any set timeline. And as I rightly said, anything that you want to do, the best time to start is right now. And where you want to reach, have certain set timelines like 3 months, 6 months. You want to get a policy in place and then have some provisions, cost provisions, and other requirements in place, and then we can implement effectively.
Thank you. I wanted to check if any other speakers also have any questions for Shweta.
Hi, Shweta. This is Lisha.
Hi.
So what I have is more of two comments, less of a question, but it's something that when you talked about behavioral changes, it came up in my mind. One was, like you said, bringing about any behavioral change is a massive exercise, right? And
Yeah.
that's something that if done at a younger age probably can yield better results. So that's something that I think companies can even think of doing as part of their CSR activities, is looking at raising awareness on road safety at at schools, so that we build that culture at a younger age. And that's, I think, and also you talked about the second part is what you talked about in terms of the country's culture, right? Where you talked about OEMs manufacturing vehicles where an airbag would probably expensive. It would be a premium feature rather than a base design. That's something,
Yeah.
if the country's culture is built up in such a way where safety is the foundation, then safety features in a car or in a truck would probably be the base in the base model itself, not just as a premium or a luxury feature. I
Yes.
just wanted to share that.
No, absolutely
Sir,
right. I completely agree with you about your comments. And also, if you see that there are some of the vehicles right now, it's not a luxury car like the Maruti has come up with airbags. So there are options there. Of course, it comes with a cost, and there is a nominal increase in the price when it comes to additional safety features, and that's where the choice comes. So it's not a luxury car, but you still have those provisions.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Pankaj, we can hear you. We're not able to hear you clearly, Ms. Pankaj.
Yeah.
It seems to be an issue.
Can you post your question on the chat box? You're not audible at all. Sorry, I was not able to hear him.
Yeah, we're not able to hear Ms. Pankaj.
Yeah, I could take the question later as well.
Sure. And also, if anybody from the audience has any questions, please do feel free to leave the question in the chat box. And towards the end of the session, we will request the speakers to address them. Okay. Thank you so much, Shwetha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, I would like to request Mr. Thamarai to give his talk. So, a quick introduction of Mr. Thamarai. He's previously worked in companies like Otis Elevators, and he has more than 20 years of experience, and he's currently working with Fujitec. And he's going to be talking about the importance of safety and how discipline plays a very important aspect when it comes to driving safety. Over to you, Mr. Thamarai.
Thank you, Thanmai. Good evening to all. I'm very happy to be the part of this important event and appreciate the initiative taken by SafetyConnect. Is a need of the hour, I can say, today. Whatever we know, safety is that the road safety is important for all of us. That before start that, as Shwetha talked about that importance of the road behaviors. And not only me, the people will, or the speakers is going to follow. Also will talk mostly the known things only that. Are we going to talk new things to you that? No way. Last depends upon the age and experience, all we know that. What is the traffic rules when we learn the skill through the driving school or from the friends and the parents. They taught us how to drive. But still the subject after the over the so many years, the subject is still talked about. And people like SafetyConnect came up with a lot of innovations to do. That is the need of the hour, as I told that. So why should we talk on this? For that, Shwetha just touched that. I want to take a couple of more inputs on. Can you able to see the screen?
No, not yet.
No. Yeah.
Okay. No?
Yes, we can see the slide.
Okay, no?
Perfect.
Yeah. Quick, some statistics which many of us know that. So road accidents continue to be the leading cause of death and disabilities and hospitalization in India. So as per the data, about 400 people killed in the road accidents as per the Ministry of Defense or Ministry of the Roads, they are given in the data, and 1,200 injured every single day in India. And India ranks first in the number of road accidents, and the 11% is the India's contribution to the 195 countries. So very sadly that at about 4 lakhs and 50,000 accidents are taking place, which lead to 1,50,000 deaths. So this is the statistics of the Indian road and road users. So whatever we know, it is no longer is a known thing that we have the time to revisit our knowledge, revisit our skills, and probably we may want to recorrect our gaps if it is there. So though we know everything, as I told you, that the statistics not supporting our knowledge and skills. That means that there are gaps in our process, gaps in our knowledge, and gaps in our presentation, or using the our skills and the safety driving skills. So there are, quickly if you go through that, top causes for the two-wheeler accidents. Again, as Shwetha said, there's distracted driving, overspeeding, drink and drive, and not following the basic riding skills, and not following the signals, lack of specific braking and cornering skills, that talks about the skill of the driver, and using the wrong turns, and closely follow the vehicles or overtaking the speedy vehicles, and of course the blind spots. So these are the common causes for the two-wheeler accidents. And if you go to the four-wheeler, again, smoking and adjusting the radio and watching the map, texting and driving, talking over phone, doing multitasking, eating and drinking and driving, and not attending to the road, attend to the passengers, or seeing the other sides and not paying attention to the roads. These are the common causes for the accidents in the four-wheelers, which all we know this. So what is to be done? I always say that there is a good statement that expect unexpected thing in the road. You cannot taken for granted. I am driving very clearly. I know the rules and regulations. But the thing about that, the people who are driving on the road, others are may not follow the rules. They may suddenly cross the roads. See the picture also that somebody will cross and he'll wait. When he come close only, he'll cross. So expect that somebody will cross. Expect that animals will. Roads are not only for us. Animals will cross. So expect and be ready for any unexpected event. Then you are through in the process. When you feel that the roads are always good in the longer run, then suddenly there is a bump, then you'll end up with a problem there. So expect that the roads will be bad, people will cross, animals will cross, and I have to be the control is with me only. I am the only person can control the accident, not the others. If you have that kind of knowledge and the thought process, or as Shwetha said, the behavior, then we are through with the process. So as the last line is that you understand the vehicle dynamics. When you apply the brake, how much, what distance it will go and stop, especially when you're using the new vehicles or the other friend's vehicle, go for a test drive, then you have to be very careful about the dynamics of the vehicles. And do not tailgate. We see always that people will touch. If an ambulance goes there, 10 people will follow the ambulance, so that they also will go fast. That very a foolish action on the road. That, and always I was told by one of the experts that always you drive when the back wheels of your front vehicle should be visible to you. That is the approximate distance which you maintain between two vehicles. That, do not provoke the other drivers putting so horn, and when you do a mistake that and fire him through your signs when you drive, then he will end up with a problem. Not only himself, he will create some more accidents also. And always I suggest that other drivers are blind. They will not listen to a horn, and deaf. They don't know that. And you plan your drive as others are blind and deaf, then you are going to be safe. As I told in the previous slide, do not do the multitasking while driving that. And in a longer driving that, take frequent rest at least once in 30 minutes. Then that will make you more fresh and more concentrate on the roads. These are the very funny things which I always see in the two-wheelers, that keep the child in the petrol tank, and that boy or girl going on sleeping. Nobody bothers about that child. Is comfortably sit on the tank and sleep. And when sudden brake apply that, then where to hold is the problem. Like keeping the child standing in between the husband and wife and enjoy the drive. And again you apply the brake. Are you able to hold the child? We don't know. So that is other dangerous driving always we follow in the two-wheelers. And for the heavy vehicles, go and stop very close to the vehicle. Sometimes the vehicle may come back also due to the road attitude, the altitude there. Sometimes we'll go and hit the bike. So normally if you see the many of the two-wheelers go as close to the heavy vehicles in the signals, and ladies driving with the flying dupatta. Many times I told that, and the people are driving that, please take care of this. Many times they don't know, they drive in a different world. So now these are the some simple points. Is it sufficient? No, that safe driving class is a not less than 1 day or 2 days program there. This one are some of the points which I given here are only to revisit our skills as I told, and recheck our ability, and if there is a requirement that is only a refresh our knowledge, and if required we have to correct our skills and knowledge. And most of the time many of the safety people know that most of the accidents happen due to the unsafe act is a normal thing. So the roads will be bad, others will be are driving badly, the signals may not work, but the all are in our control. How fast or how fairly you will follow the discipline of your road culture, or how disciplined you behave in the road with the knowledge which you know this, then you are going to be through with your journey comfortably and safely there. So many times it ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. Many times we feel that we know everything sure, that where only we end up the problem because of the overconfidence, or maybe we feel that we are expert in the driving that. So always I request or suggest that follow the principles, follow the discipline. Many of the actions are due to the unsafe act. The control of unsafe acts are with us only. As told that behaviors only decide the how we are going to run on the road. And if you do a very clear behavior, it comes out with a clean discipline, then our journey is going to be a perfect and safe. Thank you for the timing. So drive safe. Your family is waiting for you there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thamarai. So, any questions or any comments from the other speakers? So one observation that I have is, or rather, yeah, we talk about, yes, families should not be, which that have children child should not be sitting on the petrol tank. But again, the problem is more fundamental, right? Like when there is a family, not they don't have the means, and they're not too well off, and then they have to. That's the only means that they have. They can only go on a two-wheeler. They have 3-4 kids. So what's the solution for something like that? I mean, it again, everybody has to get a little more richer, more money, and then they will be able to afford it. Any thoughts on that?
See, I don't know. There is no clear answer for this, but what I assume that is that normally we will fail to understand that which is important, life or the 100 rupees or 200 rupees. But very difficult to decide, because that point of time which majority we will miss to take the call. But I feel that with the today's petrol price going by the own two-wheeler or car, sometimes it is using the taxi is cheaper than the today's. So it is easy to that go with the in Ola or any taxi. In fact, the family will be more happier than coming sitting behind the husband always and the open road there. So that's the easiest workable solution that. But are all the families, all the people are able to spend money that, which very difficult to answer that. But which is important, if you say as per the safety norms, as a normal answer is that prefer a comfortable transport is suitable for your family there. Two-wheeler, yes, but mainly for two only that. So more than two, that two-wheeler is not safe. That because we fail to create the culture of this with the team as an organization, or as a social responsibility of the company, that we missed to the not taught the society that this is more important than the money. So that is the one gap. Otherwise, why should have the lakh and 50 deaths and 4,50,000 accidents in India? So this thought has to be go, and we have to drive the society with a more cultured way of that. Take life as a priority. That's my way of looking the your questions.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Tanmay, if I may add something, am I audible now?
Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So thanks, Tanmay, and hello everyone. In fact, a very good question, and this is where we actually miss out on fundamentals. And I'm not speaking from an organization or a corporate perspective, but as a citizen of the country. Yes, we realize that not everything is hunky dory in our country, and there are problems. Into the while we were growing up, the favorite child will sit on the petrol tank, right? So that was a kind of a sign of an sign of affection. So if you were 2 3 sibling, if you were your brother or sister is given the opportunity to sit on the tank, that means father loves the other child more than yourselves, and that was the kind of feeling that we all had, and that's how we have economic condition is driving this behavior. I don't think so. Maybe a very small portion of the, because owning a bike and riding a bike itself is a costly affair, and I'm sure, as the speaker also mentioned, that there are alternates. But before a journey is taken, nobody thinks about the consequence that it might end up in a sorry condition or an incident, or if we had started thinking about it, obviously all of us would have behaved in the manner which is written in the books. But it is more of convenience. We have problem in our public transportation, last mile connectivity. So in our country, if somebody has to take the public transportation, is there in end-to-end connectivity, last mile connectivity? Take their own vehicle, and obviously not everybody will have a car or big enough vehicle to fit everybody in. And at the same time, even if you have the other options, sometimes you feel that okay, I have a bike, so let us all go on a bike ride. So I don't think the consequence is what, or the socioeconomic condition is what is driving this behavior. It is more of a casual behavior or something else, in my opinion.
Got it. Got it. So we have another question about follow distance. So, Ms. Thamarai, could you maybe spend a minute or so on follow distance? What is the appropriate follow distance?
See, normally, they in driving skills, they tell us that 2 second rule, that minimum. That means a vehicle when crosses a point, then at least we should cross the same point after 2 seconds. That is at the bare minimum distance should have this. That's called the 2 second rule, that which will be explained in the safe driving skills. That. But as I told in my presentation, is that one of the school taught us that you see the front vehicle tires fully visible, that probably you are in the, it's all not a scientific answer, that is one of the quick input, that. But generally it is that the 2 second rule is the accepted system in the defensive driving skills.
Got it.
Yeah,
Pankaj,
it's 2 second, and just to add 4 second in adverse climatic conditions. If it is raining or if it is night time or foggy conditions, then obviously you need to maintain. You just need to understand the why do we need so, because there is something called reaction time, right? And reaction time will increase, given the condition increase or decrease. So minimum, as rightly pointed out, 2 seconds is something that should be practiced. And I also go by the example that I heard. I also look at the vehicle in front of me, and if the road surface on the rear end of the vehicle is completely visible, then you are perhaps in the safe zone. But 2 seconds and 4 seconds are something that we must practice.
Understood. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Thamarai.
Thank
So
you.
I will take the opportunity to bring on our next speaker. We have Lisha. So Lisha has more than 10 years of experience in the safety space, and she's been in Castrol, spent more than 8 years there, and she's currently the lead of road safety at Unilever Asia. And Lisha is going to be talking about the power of data when it comes to road safety. So over to you.
Thanks, Tanmay. Very kind of you to introduce me. Just to clarify, it is just South Asia, not Asia. Asia is a much larger geography. But let me just share my screen. Let me know. I have just a few slides that I prepared for this. Yeah. Meanwhile, hello everyone, and I think you
We
should
can,
be able to see my screen.
yeah, we can see us.
Yeah, yeah.
Great. Okay. So glad to be here, and I appreciate all the people who have joined. Also, it really shows your intent to make a difference in your area of work, right? And thanks to Safety Connect for inviting me to speak in this forum, which has been graced by such honorable leaders here. Let me dive in directly to the content. And before I talk about the power of data, it is important to understand what key metrics are, especially in road safety. And while we do that, I think we that's something that we should acknowledge is that we tend to always look at lagging indicators, which is mainly the incident statistics as a measure of success in road safety. And it can be quite disheartening for somebody who is just starting off their journey in road safety to look at the incident numbers and wonder why, what is going wrong, and how I can improve the situation. But I think to truly drive success, we need to focus a lot more on the leading indicators than we do right now. And to just elaborate on that further, at a base level, there are three main pillars in road safety, which is driver, vehicle, and journeys, which is what Shwetha also picked up in the beginning. So we have these three key pillars, and we need to look at what are there, what are the metrics that we can look on from a driver perspective, from a vehicle perspective, and from a journey perspective. Okay, and see what can be done to make that particular pillar strong. For example, in driving, you can look at training metrics, compliance to training, what training assessments, what are the outputs of that, behavior measurements. Now we have a lot of tools available, telematics and so on, so which can give you a bit of a data on the driving behavior, so to say, which was not there, say, 10 20 years ago, right? It's more accurate now, it is more clearer now, and what and specifically what drives driving behavior, right? In vehicle, you can have parameters like vehicle fitness checks, vehicle specifications, again, which Shweta talked about, in terms of the safety features in the vehicle, right? In terms of journey, we can look at the hazards on the road, and what do we assess the journey that we are on? Do we look at it prior to going on the journey, or do we assess what is the risks that are possible on these journeys? Or if it's something, if it's a route that we take frequently, then we know, right, what are the key risks that we see on the road, and then we know, okay, if these risks this is something that I'm going to face today while going on this journey, then how do I reduce that risk for me? How do I react to the hazard when it comes up in front of me, right? Apart from that, we have standard things like near miss reporting, audits, and safety conversations, which we do, but we need to track them more closely to see what actions are coming out of these, and are these actions getting closed well, right? But whatever the metric may be that suits your area of work, and it needs to be clearly quantifiable. That's really important, because at the end, that's how you will measure, right? uh, Going ahead, if you just to give you a perspective, the challenge that we sometimes face is that we don't have enough data, which is what I talked about. It's very important then to design systems and metrics that are quantifiable so that we have data. Now, the challenge is, even if we do have data, sometimes there is a lot of it in different formats and in different locations. This is where consolidation helps, right? It is It's also key that when you design any new process or any new system to support road safety, you have to look at it from also from a perspective that where does the data come from, what output is this process going to give you, and how that will blend into the existing data set that you have, right? So now once you have this kind of quantifiable metrics and clean consolidated data, a lot can be done with the help of technology, and which kind of saves us the time and effort and energy that we put in just looking at a lot of excel sheets and registers and trying to figure out what action we need to take to reduce the risk, right? All of this seems very like it's common sense, right? But when working in safety especially, and when we design processes and systems in place to build safeguards, we don't always pay attention to data flow and the outcome of that data, which is why when we do in future go ahead and do this, we should keep in mind in terms of how what kind of data are we generating and how are we using that data, right? And it's also important what your analytical engine, which looks at this data and gives you output. It's really important that you put in good data that is clear, that is consolidated, that is foolproof, right? Only then will you get good actionable information at the end, which actually, if you see over period of time, as more data flows in, your analytics becomes more stronger, more accurate, and that's really important when you're working with data in any field actually, and more so in road safety, because these actions that come out is something that you is going to help you reduce your accidents, right? Moving on, just to give you an example, these are some sample charts that I put together. These are not based on real data, but to give you an idea, say you are looking at your accident trends, right? And you see a spike in the monsoon months. Sometimes we stop here. It is important to deep dive and see what next about that. What next is happening? Okay, these are months that we're identifying that the incident trends are higher. So are we looking at incident types? And when we look at incident types, say we say that nose to tail or tailgating, which Mr. Thamarai talked about, that those are the types of accidents that we're facing more, right? And maybe head-on collisions are happening in this period. Then we dive deeper and see, okay, when we look at driving behavior data from say telematics installed in the vehicle, we look at it and say, okay, so in these months we see a sharp increase in harsh acceleration, right? Then you start questioning and look at more data to see, is this the peak season for travel? Is it the weather that's increasing the risk? What are the causes of these accidents that are happening? Can you address this by training of the driver or by looking at the vehicle specifications, right? The more good data that you have, the more smart actions you will have, which will help you identify what to do to reduce the risk, strengthen the risk mitigation that you have, and eventually lower your number of incidents or the severity of the incidents. What analytics does for you essentially is it looks at all of this data that you have, looks at what are the exceptions in those data, finds links between them, and gives you clear actions. In this case, possibly we could say that the analytics engine could come and tell you that, okay, the vehicle tire checks that you're doing needs more focus in monsoon time, or it may say that monsoon driving training is more critical because drivers are, you know, uh, they need a little bit more push in terms of how what to do when driving in adverse conditions, right? So these are the actions that data can eventually end up giving you, and it is really important that we look at actionable information rather than looking a mass of data where you can't really make out what is to be done, right? And when you analyze lagging indicators, it will help you identify where the gaps are. But when you analyze leading indicators, it helps you look at your progress, identify and also identify systems which need to be strengthened, right? And at the end of it, analytics need to provide you with exceptions, with clear actions, and highlight where you need to focus your energies. That should be the aim of analytics. And all this is possible if you have the right metrics, which are specifically designed for your area, good and quantifiable data that you get, which flows into these analytics systems, which throws out clear actions. I think at the end of it, it gives you all of this really gives you a strong direction in your journey in this really vast world of road safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And yes, we can, of course, manage better what we measure. That's such an important thing to do, to measure. So Also, sometimes it's very important for safety teams to get access to certain data points, but probably there may be instances where the business might think that, okay, it's difficult for me to give this set of information, or in order to get this particular data point, it might be compromising or affecting my productivity. Do you ever face something like that? And if at all, how do you overcome something like that?
No, I understand that that becomes a challenge because, and but like Pankaj said earlier, the problem is at the base level. As long as you understand that safety is critical and it drives your operations, these questions don't really come up, right? And anyway, all of this becomes, if it's inbuilt into your process, your that data entry activity, and there are ways of how you can make it much simpler. You could give them drop downs. You could make the interface so simple that it takes only a few seconds to enter, and really doesn't hamper your productivity as much. It is about what tools you're using, right? And it may be an initial bit of investment, but it gives a lot of benefits in the long run. That's what I believe that needs to be done.
Got it. Understood. Any other questions, or anybody would like to add anything else?
There are a few on the chat box.
Yeah, I see some hands going up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Let me take a look
we'll
at
try
them.
to take something from
Okay to take them now,
the
Tanmay?
yeah. Do you want to answer them? Like maybe
Yeah.
the first and second.
Yeah. So Danishi has asked about how to use the data real time, right? Yeah. So there are solutions available on that also in terms of um, and that's really important. What she's asking about is in terms of real time solution, maybe a push to the nudge to the driver, right? So there are solutions that are available that look at driving patterns of the driver, and this can be built in along with the telematics device. It needs a bit of jigging. It needs a bit of it's not a readily available solution, but it's something that can be rejigged to look at driver patterns, past patterns, and see his current pattern, and that logic can be built in the device, right, which tells the driver, okay, now you need to take a break, right? So that kind of things, systems are available, but then you need to have a bit of a hardware installed in the vehicle, or maybe build an app that gives you that, and that phone needs to be on in the vehicle. Again, getting the phone on, um, and having a communication that is happening there, that can be a bit of a distraction, which is why we need to very clearly and very minutely look at what kind of alerts are going and at what frequency they're going. Multiple alerts are going to give the driver a distraction. It needs to be, like I said earlier, very clear, very short, and small nudges to the driver that he needs to go in, right? I hope that answers your question, Danashi.
I think we have two more questions. One is
If I
which
may,
state?
Tanmay, if I may add a little on what
Sure.
Lisha said. On the, I think that's an important question because all of us are very good in doing postmortem and looking at data post facto after the incident has happened. We all are good at that. Being a safety professional. But now technology is, there are available technology which gives you, which acts as a support to the driver to take the right decisions on the move rather than, make an error and then get punished at a later stage. So we have started doing that in our trucks. So what we have done is, as Lisha rightly said, we have installed an additional hardware because we didn't want it to go that mobile phone path, because then it will become very challenging for us to manage because we have a very large fleet. So we installed a voice box in the vehicles, and these voice boxes are actually connected to the IVMS and the GRM. And these voice boxes are actually used to alert the driver. So one, whenever they do, and we have defined like each and everything, as Lisa rightly said, it cannot keep speaking like a radio. So you have to decide which all parameters are very important. You have to decide the threshold in the backend, that beyond a particular threshold, the driver has to be alerted that you are doing this mistake. At the same time, on JRM also, we alert the driver it helps the right speed and get back to the right mental conditions to get onto the more riskier patch of the journey that the driver is taking on. So I think these are things which are available now, and I'm sure as we speak, technology is fast. New things are coming up, new startups are coming up, new solutions are coming up. So we should keep an eye on what's coming up in the coming times. But it is important to support the driver to take the right decision on the move rather than do the postmortem at a later stage.
Yep, very true, Mr. Pankaj. We have a question, which is, sorry, Lisha, do you want to add something?
No, I was just thinking, shall I pick up Monish's question?
Sure, we can do.
Questions.
I'll just read it out to everybody. Do stakeholders have any influence in aiding towards a zero accident vision of a corporate? If so, how do they propel companies towards this vision?
Yeah, so a good point, Monish, and actually it's two-way. It's not just the stakeholders influencing the corporate also influences. So inevitably corporate is a stakeholder to somebody else, right? And that's why it's important that as we go ahead, and I think the situation is changing in India also. There's a lot of focus on road safety. Uh, Contracts can companies can have contractual agreements which include clear guidelines on road safety. Apart from that, adding just the she policy, which is standard, if you can specify things about what you want in the driver, what you want in the vehicle in terms of, and what you want the stakeholder to do in terms of the journey, when you can address that as a contract or as a base expectation, things change. And automatically that particular stakeholder then asks the same going down the value chain, and that really builds the culture. And it's a right thing, but someone has to start, and once they start, it kind of spreads along, right? uh, I hope that answers your question. Okay.
Yeah, there's a second part to that. Crux of it is, what role can corporates play in reducing road traffic casualties?
Yeah, so there are there's a lot that the corporates can do, right? And frankly, the in the recent past, the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, MORTH, has been quite vocal in terms of what corporates can do in this space. And because the focus on road safety is very high now, more than ever, and there's a lot of initiatives that the corporates that the government itself is doing in this field. And government has actually invited corporates to join hands with their central government or the state governments to drive further. So there are a lot of avenues available. One could be supporting NGOs who are doing real work on road safety, and there are many right now who are even supporting the government. One would be to try and influence the larger pool, right? So corporate might be doing a lot of activities for their employees, or for the drivers that work for them, to go beyond that and try to influence the larger pool of drivers, whether they're employees or whether they are drivers or taxi drivers. That's something that they can do. And there's always the third option, where companies collaborate with each other, share resources, because eventually at this point road safety costs, because you need some technology, you need some vehicle safety specification that needs to be there. So there is a bit of cost there, and that cost sharing will greatly reduce the cost impact on a particular corporate, while giving the benefit of increasing the safety in the larger environment. And that's, I think, one of the three things that clearly come across when you look at the communications from North and from the government on this front. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like at the end of the day, it all boils down to education, and
Yes.
it's not just about corporates or the government. I think everybody has a role to play in this. And I was also thinking the other day that at different ages, also during the school, the topic should be introduced to them in different capacities, so that way this is inculcated into the child from a really young age itself.
Yes.
So I think you wanted to say something.
Just two bits here. First and foremost, corporates need to, detach road safety from their, being a CSR event and a photo op event. Okay, so that's the first thing that every corporate should do. Uh, all of us are safety professionals, and most of us on the call, and I'm sure we care for our people the moment they swipe in, and we forget about them the moment they swipe out. That's not health and safety as a corporate. If I take the responsibility of health and safety as a corporate, it has to be end to end. I do not want my employee not to harm himself or herself just on the side, but I also want the individual to go home safe every day, right? And that's the first policy decision that a corporate must take. I don't, and look at it from a safety professional perspective. A person who is not wearing helmet the entire day while on the road, do I expect that person to be mindful of safety while being on the work? Of course not. I mean, somewhere he will be doing it just because the supervisor is looking at him, right? So the behavior change will happen once the organization, the corporate, will enhance the scope of health and safety. Second thing is that we all have to look at, it's not just the corporate's responsibility to keep us safe and give us a long life. They give us job, they give us salary, they give us promotion, they give us everything, but for that we need to be alive. I need to be alive for my performance conversation tomorrow, so that I can enjoy my promotion or my increment or anything. So it's end of the day, and Thamarai ji very clearly said, we are not talking anything alien here. Everything what we are going to talk about, or we have already spoken about, Shwetha has spoken, Lisha has spoken, Thamarai ji has spoken. I think everything, these are all common sense. I think we all need to understand that there is a responsibility that I have to play for myself. And then, of course, corporate also comes in. Corporate has the responsibility to go beyond CSR. Road safety is no more a CSR event, no more a photo opportunity. NGOs are not, enough to bring in a big change, because there are large number of people who are employed under the corporate sector, under MSME. If it is mandated that your health, safety, environment is also extended to road, then it becomes end to end. So I would urge that most of the forward-looking organizations are already doing it, and that's why you have so many of us on this discussion. But that's a request to all my safety colleagues here, that we must advocate inclusion of road safety into our overall scheme of HSE. And I mean, things won't change overnight. Obviously, it will take some time, but let's start it today. As Shwetha said, I mean, today you have to bring in that change. You have to start somewhere. So that's all, Thanmai.
Yep,
I'll add just one statement. One of my friend, I'm talking about some 20 years back, when the two-wheelers are the common, just an important thing on the road. One Sunday, I met him at the market. He came without a helmet. But of course, our company, given the training, given the helmet, given the vehicle. But when I asked him that why you came without helmet, he said, today is Sunday. How stupid he is that? Okay, the corporate, given the vehicle, given the training, given the helmet free of cost, do a lot number of trainings. After that, when I come to job, I'll come with the helmet. And when I come to a mall, I'll go without helmet. So whatever the initiative is taken by the government or the companies, corporates, unless you have individual discipline, which I'm coming back to my theme of the presentation, nobody will save us. So that is where, as countries like India, we have to make the society to aware of the responsibilities, especially in the public responsibilities. Then it will be important today's situation. So that's why today we are sitting and talking with the various people, which is they at about 50 people in the line. They go and spread out to the other friends, and the organization is there. So I again impress upon that the discipline is more important. Whatever we know, it all when we not followed that, no use. No corporate can made me to wear helmet unless I decided to wear helmet then.
absolutely. Yep.
I also just like to add upon that, Tanmay. I think very interestingly, Lisa talked about the leading and the lagging indicators, and leading indicators definitely help the behavioral change. So in behavior-based safety itself is a leading indicator, in fact. So we in fact monitor the harsh braking or various other parameters which are related to the behavioral safety, either use the technology or even by the behavioral observations we can identify them. So one of the important thing that industries could actually implement is the behavior based safety itself, and all the employees become very conscious and aware of the requirements, and the reporting increases, the near misses increases, and all these would actually help in building a safety program and training employees. So as such, if you see, corporates are doing a lot, and as I rightly mentioned to you, none of these initiatives are also a replacement for the safe driving or common sense. But I would say that these tools, especially the behavioral monitoring, it's very helpful because although it's monitoring the number of number of times a person is doing at-risk behavior. If it is being monitored, then the person who is driving the either a forklift or maybe a two-wheeler or a car, he becomes very conscious about it, that he is being monitored. It could also be a CCTV which is capturing his image. So that itself will make the person very conscious, the driver very conscious, and then start driving in a safe manner. So I think all these initiatives and also the policy decisions, I would think, is very, very important. I do know some of the companies, I think even Castrol must have had this policy decision where the two-wheelers were banned, and two-wheelers being one of the main contributory factor, and also the fatality rate is quite high when it comes to two-wheeler, and two-wheelers are banned. So obviously, there are alternate arrangements that are made, either a mass transport or maybe even the cars that are being provided. So these things also will help. All these are an intangible benefit. When somebody's life is saved, you don't really think that these are all the initiatives that have helped, but they have helped. They are indeed, one of the main reasons why people may be alive, but everybody may not acknowledge. And over a period of time, by having all these policy decisions, by having this technology in place, I think at some point of time, safety becomes a part of the blood. And even if you have to drive outside, you can't be different when you drive on the road, and you can't be different when you're driving inside the premises. So it becomes it's part of our blood. So then things change. So I just wanted to add that as well. So behavioral monitoring, tracking, and these leading indicators are an excellent tool for improving the behavioral safety performance.
Absolutely, very well said. Now, last but not least, we have Mr. Pankaj. Excuse me. He is synonymous to road safety in India, and somebody that I really, excuse me, that I speak to very frequently when I need to discuss something about road safety. And so he's currently the head of road safety at Holcim, and comes with more than 20 years of experience. And prior to this, he's been with companies like Castrol and American Express, LG, Yamaha, and so on. And Mr. Pankaj is going to share some interesting learnings that he's seen along his journey. So over to you, Mr. Pankaj.
Thank you, Thanmai. I don't know if my presentation is at all required now. We have had a lot of discussion, and it will help me, skip through quite a few of my slides. But I'll take about 10-12 minutes. Is my slide visible now? No, I guess. Okay.
Yes.
Is it visible now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I'll just quickly go through, okay, so he has already introduced me. First of all, is there a need for road safety? Of course, I mean, we all know that First of all, let us think about it for a moment. Is there anything that we do in our lifetime which is more dangerous than being on the road? And I'm not just trying to talk about driving on the road. I'm saying using the road or being on the road. I don't think you will get an answer to this, because looking at the frequency and the severity of the incidents that are happening in our country, and we heard the numbers already. I think being on the road is the most dangerous activity that we do in our lifetime. But when we buy even a mobile phone, we need some bit of training. We ask somebody to give you some information on how to use it, etc. But when we buy a bike or a car, we certainly don't feel that we need to have any formal training to understand what are the road risks and how to mitigate them. So that's the poor state of affairs that we are in, and which is why we see large number of fatalities happening. We are contributing to about 11%, whereas our roads are only about 1% of the global roads. So 1% is contributing 11%. That's a staggering number, and I think we need to really think very seriously about this. Second point is that before we start, road risk is something which we get exposed to even before we are born. When the mother is carrying the baby in her womb to the hospital for delivery, that's where our exposure to road risk starts. So we might actually get killed before we are born, and it ends when the body is taken to the crematorium. So that's the connection in our life cycle with the road safety, and still we really do not pay attention. We do not do anything to make sure that we are alive. While we are very ambitious, we want a lot of things to happen in our life, but we really do not do a lot to make sure that we survive and reach home safe every day. So is there a need? Of course, there is a need. These are numbers that has already been spoken about. I'll skip through in the interest of time. These are some of the, almost every single day. And nowadays, in the last month or two, I've heard about multiple cases where the fatalities has been in double digit, which is absolutely, very sad to see. And as per government statistics, we have almost about, in the last 1 decade, perhaps 17-18 lakh people have already been killed on the road. And this is something we have to really think about, and the solutions are all in our own hand, and we'll talk about it. So the challenges, of course, Nitin Gadkari once said, this is one article from 2017, I guess, Indian roads deadlier than all the wars it has fought. And this is a very serious statement that he has made. And look at the investment that we do, look at the seriousness we put around our defense, which is for all the right reasons. But at the same time, we have hardly, in the last 4-5 years or 7 years or 8 years, we have started hearing about road safety, especially after Gopinath Munde's unfortunate death. We have heard about, we have started, the government has also started talking about this subject, and we see a lot of changes happening now. The airbag has been made mandatory, 6 airbags in the car. So earlier there was a discussion that it used to be a luxury, but now good to see that the government is also taking some action towards it. But are we as an individual taking action? I don't think so. Why? No fear of law. Obviously we can get away. 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 100 rupees, 500 rupees is enough to get away. But we don't realize that that 100 rupee is going to kill me one day. Poor skill. I'm sure 90% of all of us who are sitting here in this particular forum, 90% or more will fail the test if we really go through a road test today. But we all have license. We have all been driving for decades together. Respect for others? No, there is zero respect for others. It is all about me first. So if I hit the road, I have to be the first. If the light turns green, I have to be the first. And there is a saying that when we hit the road, we are the most busiest people on this earth, but we never arrive on time. So no one starts the day thinking. So this is a truth, that nobody starts the day thinking I will hurt myself or someone. But end of the day, in about 1.5 hours of this particular forum, there will be about 25 to 30 people who will not go home only in this 1.5 hours. So 17 people, 18 people are killed on the road every hour in our country. So our behavior has to meet the intent. Everybody has an intent. I want promotion because I want to grow in my life, but then my behavior is not really, in sync with my intent. So I do not know whether I'll live tomorrow. If I don't live tomorrow, what is the point in making or doing all the hard work today? So obviously, right policies at the governance level, building the forgiving infrastructure in the country is important. But these are things which are beyond our individual or corporate control, and hence we will not touch upon them. And obviously, government has a responsibility. We all, as a citizen, need to keep raising our voice. Skill to use road is something that I can do for myself. You can do for yourself. Organization can put in some effort to ensure that we really get skilled to use the road, not just drive the road. And lead and regulate and strict enforcement, I think these are again things that can be done to some extent. Now coming to our company, we build homes. We are cement manufacturer, and at the same time, when we talk about road safety, we also say that on one side we sell cement, we build homes, and when our vehicle or our people are on the road, we cannot be responsible for someone losing or someone's home getting destroyed, or someone's family being pulled into poverty. So that's something we have a moral responsibility towards it, and that's why we put a lot of focus on road safety. The Ambition Zero, I'll not go through the entire thing, but how it all started about 5 years back, we realized in 2016-17 that there are a large number of people, because we are a large company. We are ACC plus Ambuja, and we have almost, I'll give you the numbers, but large number of vehicles on the road, large number of people on the road, the kilometers being logged is very high, and that's why the number of the risk events are also very high. So we realized that we need to do something in this area, and we have to bring the numbers down to zero, and that's where it all started. So we built a plan in 2017, a 5-year plan. And then we obviously we made a lot of intervention. We also had technology intervention in 2018. Then we built driver management centers, transport analytics center, which is again something similar to what complementing what Lisha was talking about. And then of course what you measure is what you improve. So we also had put some KPIs in place, and in fact I'll tell you that even road safety KPIs are so important that our performance, the company's performance, individual performance, everything gets impacted with the not just health and safety, plant safety KPIs, but also road safety KPIs. So this is the extent our span, almost now 40 odd plants, 85 plus ready mix plants. We have almost 100,000 trucks. In fact, numbers are slightly older. 100,000 trucks will mean almost 200,000 drivers, 700, 800 million plus kilometers. So this is the number. Obviously, in such a large operations, and not everything is in our control as well. So we decided that okay, we need to, and as most of the speakers talked about, I think Shwetha said, and everyone said, that behavior is something which is very important. We also realized that there is a vehicle, there is a driver, and there is journey part. Most important in this is, and I'll give a little example here, that sometimes many of us actually give an excuse that okay, roads kharab hai, the roads are not good, government is not doing anything. But look at this statistics. In US, if I'm not wrong, they log about 33 lakhs plus incident every year, road incident. Okay, one may give, and a lot of people must be thinking that US is reporting everything. We are not. That's fine. I take that into consideration. Even if you double or treble our number, even then we'll perhaps not reach the 33 lakhs number. So there is a little point here that technology, or sorry, not technology, but the good infrastructure by itself will not reduce the number of incidents. They have less number of fatalities because they're the vehicles are possibly better than us, and the vulnerable population, which is pedestrians, bicyclists, two-wheelers, they are lesser than the percentage of their presence on the road will be far lesser than what we have. The number of roads and the kilometers that they have is far more than us. Hence, the traffic density is lower. So there are a lot of things that they have positive, but at the same time, they are logging a large number of incidents in spite of having the best of the roads. So road condition is certainly not an excuse that we should live with. Yes, it's a factor, but it's not an excuse that we have to continue, talking about. What is most important is the person in the vehicle. If the person is skilled, even on a bad road, there are good chances that the individual will, drive through. And that's why we said that, okay, we'll talk about vehicle and we'll talk about the driver and we'll leave the journey part. Not that we are leaving it completely, but yes, we are doing some fatigue management, parking facilities, etc. But the clear focus is around the vehicle and the behavior. And of course, aided by technology and supported and owned by the transporters. So that's the very important piece here. So these are things that we monitor. Obviously, most of the companies who use telematics, and currently we have about 21 to 22,000 plus installed devices in the vehicles. Now you must be thinking, if we are engaging about 70,000, 80,000 plus trucks, then why only 21,000? So obviously you can't do everything for everyone. And hence we decided that, okay, we'll prioritize the vehicles which are coming to us more often than the rest. We will put in efforts to make them fully compliant and put in everything in place. And this 21,000 has taken 5 years, because there is a limit up to which you can do. It's not just cost, but a lot of other factors are in. And at the same time, we also have a KPI to increase the percentage kilometer that we drive for business. And out of 700 million, we have a KPI which is monitored at the group level. So we have to go up to 80 and 90% by the end of 2022. So the risk exposure to the market fleet will be about 10%, which will remain, because cement is such a sector where you cannot have 100% dedicated fleet. Then, of course, we do a lot of things in terms of skilling programs. So we have a 12 days residential in-house training program to train the master trainers. And it's an in-house certified program. And once the master trainers are trained, they go back to the plants and they conduct on-road and theoretical and on-road assessment of the drivers. And the most important, the sentence is at the bottom of the photo, at the slide, that over 33,000 drivers have already undergone this training. And you'll be surprised that these are the drivers who have been driving for many, many years. And there is a failure rate of 12%. So this 12% people have not passed the assessment in spite of being on the road for a very long time. And this is something, and I remember I spoke to one of the driver and he said, post this assessment, that sir, main gaadi to 18 saal se chala raha hu, but seekha aaj. So this was a statement made by a truck driver in one of our plants. Other major interventions, of course, you need a lot of other technology to help you identify the driver, to also look at some of the compliance requirements, look at the vehicle condition. Everything cannot be done on pen and paper, and that's why we have built in some of the technology to help us help people on the ground in the plant to make the right intervention. And you can see some pictures from the driver management center that we run, and this is in every single plant and mines that we operate. And they do skill counseling, coaching, behavior management, reward recognition, and most importantly engagement, because whatever you teach them, it doesn't stay, because their life is very, very difficult, very tough, and it does not stay for a very, very, very long time. And hence, so then we set up Transport Analytics Center where we capture data, and Lisa talked about it, analyze, which is important, coach and improve. So coaching and improving is at the ground level, on the site, but capturing is also happening at different sources, and analyzing is happening at the TSE, where every single plant they get, and you can see the concept. So capture, analyze, and every single plant, you can see the last photo, the bottom right, where you get all the numbers very clearly. Every single day there are dashboards which are site specific, and where the sites, they get to know that what is prescriptive, descriptive, diagnostics, and then finally they close the loop by making action or doing the needful action on the ground. So this is something that is given to the site on a daily basis. We talked about what a corporate can do, but end of the day, I think which India we want. We have all sort of India that we see on the road. We have one India on the left hand side, which we see more often, And there is another India on the right hand side, which I recently posted on LinkedIn as well. And I think the answer is very clear. We want the right one, but we want to do the left one. So we need to really bring in some change in behavior. And just to reiterate on certain things that the speakers have also talked about, and I want everybody to go home today and think about these very simple things that you and I can do on a daily basis. Blind spot. We all know that, and our trucks are on the road. We know that the cyclists, the bikers, they behave so irrationally sometimes that truck driver has no option. I mean, he doesn't even see when you are crossing, zigzagging past the truck. And that is why we need to very clearly understand there is a blind spot around and such large vehicles, whether truck, tanker, or bus, and playing with them is actually playing with your own life. We have mirrors in our cars, in our bikes. They are not for decoration purpose. They are not for makeup, but they are for a purpose, and please use them for a purpose. Do not fold them to ensure that they don't get damaged, because mirror getting damaged is better than you getting damaged. On the third one, it's important to be seen, and we see a lot of people now have become health conscious. They run on the road, they walk on the road, but make sure that you wear bright clothes. You can see out of 3 only 2 are visible and 1 is not visible. Now it's our responsibility that we make sure that we are visible on the road. And of course, rest. We all see all these things happening on a daily basis. Fatigue driving, tired driving is not a sign of bravado. Speeding is not a sign of bravado. You're not going to get any medal out of it. So please slow down, be patient on the road, pay respect to other road users, be alert, because anything can happen in time. Expect the unexpected. And finally, I think Mr. Durai also talked about it. Make sure you are disciplined on the road. So respect other people on the road and be disciplined. You just have one life. You own it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pankaj. And that is quite a remarkable achievement of getting to 0 casualties in a span of 5 years. So what's the goal for the next 5 years now?
Just yesterday we had a meeting to decide on the next. So next 5 years will be more about going to the next level, adopting more technology. We are again upgrading our the IVMS that we have installed, so that we also get crash recorder. We also do some amount of predictive analysis. So these are the things we are upgrading our TSC as well. So these are things that are on the cards.
Got it. Very interesting.
At the same time, we are also looking at obviously increasing the number of training. So last couple of years, because of COVID, because these training, they need face-to-face. Drivers cannot be trained, and we are talking about truck drivers. You cannot train them really on Zoom. It won't be effective. So many of us will feel good about it because we can log a lot of numbers to showcase, but it won't be effective, to be very honest. So we are trying to catch up. Hopefully, things are looking better now. So we are trying to catch up. 33,000 is very less compared to the number that we have on our sites. So thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to open it up to questions from the other speakers.
Sorry, I think I took a little longer.
No, that's fine. It was a very insightful talk you were doing. Very valuable. A lot of things that a lot of the people who are attending can actually implement in their day-to-day lives. So any questions from the speakers, or if any of the audience also has any questions, please drop them in the comment section.
I'll only no question that, but I want to put the appreciation to Pankaj and team that for the efforts. And I'll take in my classes about the road safety that I can have a ready-made example, that one of the success story which I came to know today. Probably with your permission, I will use your organization names and success story to my team. That's good. That good learning for me today. That is, it is possible. Many times we feel that it is not possible in India. At least you guys had made it happen. So that is a very good success story, that which I feel I'll take it forward to my team also. That good job.
Thank you, Thamarai sir. And I mean, safety has no boundaries, so everyone can use in the right spirit.
That's true.
So there's one question in the comments. What are the tools available for road safety in India currently? How can we ensure employee safety?
So I think you are the expert to answer this, but yeah, I'll say that the supply chain or the commercial vehicles are being tracked on the hardware based IVMS or telematics or GPS or whatever you call it in different organizations. But as an individual, I think there are a lot of tools available, and one of them is obviously from IoTRL SafetyConnect, where individually you can download those, take subscription, or even as an organization, and we are actually looking at it at the moment for our employees. And your mobile is actually a telematic device. Every smartphone has all the features to tell you, whether you are speeding or not, whether you are harsh braking, whether your acceleration is right or wrong, your cornering is right or wrong. So you have a telematic device in your hand which you use only for Facebook and WhatsApp, but you can extend the use to also install an app which will measure your driving behavior. And I think a lot of organizations are, I know of at least double digit corporates who are right now working in this area of adopting these tools and technology for their employees, and we are one of them. And we want to look at measure every single individual, the driving behavior, etc., and make intervention in the before something goes wrong, rather than doing it or feeling sorry at a later stage. So a lot of tools and technology available. Make good use of it. And best thing, as I said, your mobile phone, your smartphone is there with you, and it can help you drive better.
Absolutely. And a lot of companies, they do have the policies in place in terms of what should be the best practice in terms of harsh acceleration, braking, cornering, overspeeding, phone usage. But it's very hard to put a governance mechanism around that until now. Now, as you were rightly mentioning, the phone has that power, that capability. But in addition to that, the phone also has the ability to bring about that behavior change.
Yeah.
And of course, Facebook, social media, and all are doing it for all the wrong reasons. But when used in the right way for safety, you can definitely bring about that behavior change and see that 70 to 80% drop in the number of major accidents within a year of using these kind of technologies. And also making that paradigm shift from lagging indicators to leading indicators and getting insight into what is not going right with which particular employee, and then the right counseling, the right intervention from a training standpoint at the right time goes a long way towards not ensuring that the fatality doesn't even happen to begin.
Just to add one quick point, and from a corporate and individual perspective, how many times, our friends, our family members, they are on the phone and call me later, or I'll call you later. The moment you start doing it, the moment you start making that intervention, you will adopt the same things in your own life as well. And as a corporate also, I have always, in every meeting I talk about it, that the moment and today we have hybrid working culture. Most of the people are on the road, and because of COVID, your calls start at right 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. It goes until 10 o'clock in the night. So a lot of people I see in Mumbai who are logged on to Zoom while driving, and I've seen this on freeway. So many of them. Now we have made a very clear rule in the organization that every time a senior leader starts a call, the first thing the leader has to clearly make a mention that anyone who is driving or are on the road and on the call right now, please drop off, park yourself in a safe place, and then log in again. So this is a message that more and more you get this message. If your family members are calling, your friends are calling, the moment you start making this intervention, next time the person will not call you if he or she is on the road. So start making that intervention, and obviously you will see a lot of things change.
True. Absolutely. So in the interest of time, I think we will be forced to cut the session short. So I would like to thank all the speakers for taking the time to join this and share your learnings.